I'm Anna, and this is Tyler, and welcome to the first episode of the amazing world of dinosaurs.
Hundreds of millions of years ago, giant beasts known as dinosaurs ruled the world.
When the first bones were found in a quarry like this one, 150 years ago, no one knew what kind of creatures they came from.
And finding out who and what they were has been one of the most exciting stories in all of science.
When those first bones were unearthed, the question everybody asked was, what kind of creatures were they?
Were they lizards?
I don't think so. Mammals?
No. How about crocodiles?
No. Maybe birds?
Maybe. They were a whole new kind of animal, dinosaurs.
In this first program, we will show you how dinosaurs became the greatest success story on the planet.
And show you how dinosaurs beat out all the competition and reigned over the land for over 160 million years.
Come on an adventure with us to
The Rise of the Dinosaurs.
The word dinosaur means terrible lizard, but they were so much more than terrible beasts. They were, by far, the most diverse and amazing animals that ever walked the earth. Some dinosaurs were as big as trees. Others were smaller than a chicken. Some had big, sharp teeth. Some had hundreds of tiny, flat teeth. And some had no teeth at all. Many had feathers covering their whole bodies, while others had scaly skin and looked like giant crocodiles. And some had armor plating covering their entire bodies. Some had horns, and some had hard domes on their heads. Some dinosaurs had eyes on the side of their head, and others had eyes toward the front, giving them binocular vision. Because of this diversity, dinosaurs were the most successful land-dwelling animals that ever lived. They lived everywhere on the earth, in every type of environment. They adapted to almost any condition.
Dinosaurs are so successful. They lived for a huge amount of time. They lived through 3 periods. The Cretaceous, the most recent one, the Jurassic, the famous one from Jurassic Park movie, and the Triassic, which was the first dinosaur time. And they lived through all these periods because they had good bodies, good food, and a good lifestyle. They could make babies very easily. And the more babies you can make and feed them well, the more successful you're going to be. I have a dinosaur egg here. Not only did they able to make lots of babies, they had to feed them. And you feed them by having good food. And there was wonderful food going on during the time of the dinosaurs. A big variety of things. We had mountain food with trees and shrubs and grasses. We had middle ground plains with looked like Africa with lots of things to eat there. And then we had river-dwelling or lakeshore-dwelling dinosaurs. Where all those nice, soft, lush plants were along the shore. And just like the moose goes out into the lake and picks up those sloppy lily pads with those big, sloppy moose lips, the duck-billed dinosaur probably did the same thing. He had those big, floppy moose lips, probably went out and ate nice, soft plants, pulling them out of rivers and out of lake shores. So you make lots of babies, you have lots of good food, and you live a long time, and you be very successful going through life and living from the Triassic up to the Cretaceous.
Though some of the first dinosaurs were meat eaters, when meat became scarce, some dinosaurs simply began to eat plants. When large, vicious meat eaters like the Allosaurus were ruling the Jurassic, armored plant eaters like the Stegosaurus evolved huge club-like tails and grew massive plates along their spine. Unique adaptations to protect them from predators. Likewise, when the plant-eating dinosaurs evolved into huge sauropods, like the Diplodocus that thundered about the prehistoric plains, meat eaters, like the Tyrannosaurus rex, increased in size to deal with their ever-growing prey. However, one condition that dinosaurs couldn't adapt to was the KT extinction, a massive asteroid impact that killed off all the dinosaurs. All the dinosaurs, except what today we call birds, disappeared. That's right, all birds are descended from dinosaurs.
Wow, I've already learned so much about dinosaurs, I think my head's gonna explode.
I know what you mean. As we just learned, the dinosaur success spanned 3 geologic periods.
The Triassic, the Jurassic, and the Cretaceous.
Let's go back to the Triassic, where the age of the dinosaurs began.
The age of the dinosaurs started in the mid-Triassic period, more than 225 million years ago. At this time, there was only one giant supercontinent called Pangaea. The first dinosaurs to appear were small meat eaters, like the Eoraptor. Towards the end of the Triassic period, larger dinosaurs, like the 8-foot-long carnivorous Chindisaurus, emerged. Here's a footprint of one of those early meat eaters. Also, early plant-eating dinosaurs called prosauropods appeared in the Triassic. Like the plump 15-foot-long, 4-ton Plateosaurus. It walked on 2 legs and had hands that could grasp food. The Triassic period ended with a mysterious extinction event that mostly affected aquatic reptiles. Dinosaurs were, for the most part, unharmed and free to flourish. They ruled the world for the next 2 geologic periods, the Jurassic and the Cretaceous. The Jurassic period lasted for about 55 million years. It was during this time that Pangaea separated into 2 continents, Gondwana to the south and Laurasia to the north. It was known as the Golden Age for plant eaters called sauropods. These were the gigantic, long-necked dinosaurs like Brachiosaurus, Brontosaurus, and Diplodocus. But as these gentle giants grew in size, carnivorous ancestors of the T-Rex, like giant Torvosaurus, Megalosaurus, and Allosaurus, evolved to prey upon them. The Cretaceous period began about 150 million years ago. By now, Laurasia and Gondwana were beginning to separate into the continents that we know today. This period also saw dinosaurs branch out into a variety of different groups. The first ceratopsians, like Triceratops, appeared and began to flourish. Super armored dinosaurs, such as Ankylosaurus, also emerged. Giant sauropods, like Argentinosaurus, were outgrowing their ancestors. Enormous meat eaters evolved as well, including the most popular dinosaur ever, the Tyrannosaurus rex. It was also at this time that the bird-like raptors began to prosper, some becoming super smart, like the Troodon. Then, something horrific happened. After 160 million years of evolution and adaptation, the dinosaurs' time was up. An asteroid the size of Manhattan collided with Earth off the coast of present-day Mexico. Soon after this catastrophic impact, most of the dinosaurs perished. All that survived were the descendants of a group of meat-eating dinosaurs that evolved into birds.
Wow, dinosaurs survived for so long, only to be wiped out by a giant asteroid.
Crazy, right? Let's rewind back to the beginning.
Yeah, like, what makes a dinosaur, not just another reptile?
Let's find out.
The main difference between dinosaurs and reptiles is the way their leg bones are placed. Most reptiles, like these iguanas, have their legs out to the sides of their body. Dinosaurs have their legs directly beneath their bodies. This allows dinosaurs to walk more upright and carry more weight. This trait allowed the dinosaurs to become the giants we know so well. Also, dinosaurs are understood to be warm-blooded, brooding their eggs like birds, unlike cold-blooded reptiles that derive their body heat from the environment, like lizards, turtles, snakes, and alligators. But there are other traits that make dinosaurs dinosaurs.
Among the features that make dinosaurs dinosaurs are the bones of the ankle. So unlike crocodiles, which have a hinge joint that cuts between the ankle, dinosaurs have a single plane, so their entire ankle joint crosses one bone. It's called the astragalus, and it forms a simple hinge. And this isn't seen in other reptiles. This is unique to dinosaurs and birds alive today.
Another feature that separates dinosaurs from reptiles is the fact that dinosaurs are terrestrial, or land-dwelling, animals. At the same time, there were aquatic reptiles like Ichthyosaurus, Plesiosaurus, and Mosasaurus that ruled the sea. And there were flying reptiles called pterosaurs that ruled the sky. They had wings made of skin and fully toothed jaws. But dinosaurs alone ruled the land. And they left behind footprints. Footprints that can still be seen today. What can these ancient trackways tell us that bones can't?
So what can we learn from dinosaur tracks that we can't learn from bones? First, it's important to remember that the tracks were made by the living animal when it was living and breathing and moving. So it's kind of like a movie of the activity of the animal, whereas the bones tell you more about the dead animal, how it died, where its skeleton ended up. Particularly, I think with tracks, we can get some kind of idea of what the flesh is like on the foot. If you were to put the foot skeleton in here or stick it in the mud, it wouldn't look the same as the track because it doesn't have flesh on it. The other thing that we can learn from tracks is how fast the animal was going, whether there's like a long step or a short step. So tracks are very useful for estimating the speed. Another thing, sometimes we find more than one dinosaur going in the same direction. So this tells us something about social behavior, whether they were gregarious or whether they were wandering around solitary on their own.
Cliff Manuel discovered these tracks from the mid-Jurassic near Grable, Wyoming. He's documented more than 700 footprints in this area alone.
The most important things kids can learn about dinosaur tracks from the tracks is it's like a Polaroid in time. You can tell a little bit about behavior from it, whether they're operating as a group or not. You can tell quite a bit about the size of them by measuring the stride. There's a dinosaur trackway here with about 14 or 15 tracks that were a dinosaur walking across here in this limey ooze that was on top of this oolitic sandstone or limestone. Was just of the right consistency that it preserved these tracks. They have been identified as carnivorous dinosaur tracks. They walked on their hind legs and carried their back horizontal to the ground area. So they had a long tail and a fairly long neck with a head out there, and they carried their fingers, in these particular cases, 3 fingers like this, just ready to scoop up food. Hip height was roughly about at this level, back up about here, probably 14 to 16 foot long overall from tip of tail to his head, and may have weighed close to 1,000 pounds. But I'm going to walk alongside some of these tracks so you can get some idea of the stride. Starting with this one, I'll walk here, 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 here.
Dinosaur tracks are so cool.
Yeah, it's like you're actually walking around with dinosaurs.
And you can tell so much about a dinosaur from their tracks without seeing any bones.
Like how fast they ran, how big their feet actually were, and what kind of dinosaur they were.
And that is helpful because there are so many kinds of dinosaurs.
Paleontologists so far have identified around 1,000 different species of dinosaurs.
But if they're anything like birds today, there are probably 10,000 different kinds of dinosaurs. So where do you start?
Let's see if world-famous paleontologist Bob Bacher can shed some light on our dinosaur family tree.
The dinosaur family tree, well, it's not a family tree. It's a blueberry bush. There are so many branches, and each dinosaur branch has another branch and another branch and another branch. It's an incredible tangle of species, but there are 3 main categories. Number 1, the really big guys, what are called the brontosaurs or sauropods, and they're so big we can only fit a tooth of one into this room. This is one lower tooth of a brontosaur, a guy called Camarasaurus, long-necked monster, 60 feet long, would weigh in at 10, 15, 20 tons. So those are the big plant eaters with long necks. Second big cloud of branches, these guys. Here's Protoceratops. This is a beaked dinosaur, also called a bird-hipped dinosaur. Has the standard big dinosaur eyes and big dinosaur nostrils, but it's got a beak for biting plants. These again are plant eaters. Triceratops is a big cousin. The duck-billed dinosaur is a cousin once removed. Ankylosaurs, those dinosaurian tanks, they're in this group too. And the last of the 3 huge clouds of species are the most famous. The raptors and rexes, the meat eaters. This is Velociraptor, a little guy, a little carnivore with a big brain, found side by side in Mongolia with Protoceratops, the beaked plant eater. These guys go from heads this big, a really tiny raptor, to heads 5 feet long, the size of T-Rex. These guys are the natural enemies, the carnivore, the natural enemies of the beaked dinosaurs, and the big carnivores, the natural enemies of the gigantic long-necked brontosaurs. And those are the three great clouds of branches in the dinosaur blueberry bush.
So, when paleontologists say dinosaurs ruled the earth, they meant just that. Dinosaurs lived and flourished on every continent, including Antarctica, making them every bit as successful as mammals today.
Well, I guess that's a start. So there are three groups. One group of gigantic plant eaters called sauropods.
There's a second group of smaller plant eaters like the protoceratops.
And the third group of meat-eating dinosaurs like raptors or the T-Rex.
On the next episode, we're going to explore the world of those meat-eating dinosaurs called theropods.
See you next time on The Amazing World of Dinosaurs.